The Republic of Korea, a beacon of democracy and economic prosperity in East Asia, finds itself at a crossroads. On December 5, 2024, President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law across the nation. This unprecedented move sent shockwaves through South Korean society and reverberated across the international community. The declaration marked a dramatic escalation of the political and social turmoil that has gripped the country in recent months. It is a stark departure from the democratic principles that South Korea has striven to uphold since its transition from authoritarian rule. The decision to impose martial law did not occur in a vacuum. It came on the heels of weeks of escalating protests and demonstrations which had effectively brought the country to a standstill. The protests, initially sparked by allegations of corruption against President Yoon, quickly morphed into a broader outcry against his administration and its policies. From bustling city centers to university campuses, citizens from all walks of life took to the streets, demanding transparency, accountability, and a return to democratic norms. As tensions reached a boiling point, President Yoon, facing mounting pressure from both the public and within his own party, opted for the most drastic measure available to him, the imposition of martial law. Citing concerns about national security and the need to restore order, the president vowed to take all necessary steps to quell the unrest and restore stability. However, critics argue that the declaration of martial law is a blatant attempt to silence dissent and consolidate power. They fear that it will usher in a new era of authoritarianism, eroding the hard-won democratic freedoms that South Koreans have fought so hard to achieve. To understand the current crisis, one must delve into the deep-seated grievances that have fueled the flames of discontent in South Korea. At the heart of the unrest lies a growing disillusionment with President Yoon's administration, which has been plagued by allegations of corruption and cronyism since its inception. The president himself is facing multiple investigations into his financial dealings, with accusations ranging from bribery and embezzlement to abuse of power. These allegations have severely tarnished his reputation and eroded public trust in his leadership. Adding fuel to the fire is a controversial judicial reform bill that was rammed through Parliament by the ruling party in November 2024. The bill, widely seen as an attempt to curb the power of the judiciary and consolidate executive control, has been met with fierce opposition from legal experts, human rights groups, and a significant portion of the South Korean populace. Critics argue that the reform bill undermines the independence of the judiciary, a cornerstone of any functioning democracy, and grants the president unchecked authority over judicial appointments. This, they fear, could lead to a situation where the judiciary is beholden to the executive branch, effectively dismantling the system of checks and balances that is essential for a healthy democracy. Beyond the immediate triggers of corruption allegations and the controversial judicial reform bill, the protests also reflect a deeper sense of unease and dissatisfaction within South Korean society. Many citizens, particularly the younger generation, feel increasingly disillusioned by the country's political system, which they perceive as being rigged in favor of the elite and unresponsive to the needs of ordinary people. They point to issues such as soaring housing prices, rising income inequality, and a lack of job opportunities as evidence that the current system is failing them. The declaration of martial law has ushered in a new reality for South Koreans, one characterized by heightened security measures, restricted freedoms, and an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. In the hours following the announcement, the military was deployed to major cities across the country, with soldiers patrolling the streets, manning checkpoints, and enforcing a strict curfew. Public gatherings of more than 3 people were banned, and a media blackout imposed, effectively cutting off the flow of information. One of the most concerning aspects of the martial law decree is the suspension of certain civil liberties that are considered fundamental to a democratic society. Freedom of speech and assembly, enshrined in the South Korean Constitution, have been effectively curtailed, with the government cracking down on any form of dissent or criticism. Social media platforms have been blocked and access to independent news websites restricted, leaving citizens in the dark about the true extent of the unrest and the government's response. The government argues that these drastic measures are necessary to restore order and stability in the face of what it perceives as a threat to national security. However, human rights groups and international observers have expressed grave concerns about the potential for abuse and the erosion of democratic norms. There have been reports of arbitrary arrests, detentions without trial, and excessive use of force by security forces. The dramatic turn of events in South Korea has sent shockwaves across the international community, with governments and organizations around the world expressing concern and urging restraint. The United States, a key ally of South Korea, issued a statement expressing deep concern over the declaration of martial law and urging all parties to exercise restraint and engage in dialogue to resolve the crisis peacefully. The European Union echoed these sentiments, calling on the South Korean government to respect human rights and fundamental freedoms, including freedom of expression and assembly. The EU emphasized the importance of upholding democratic principles and the rule of law, urging a swift return to constitutional order. The international response to the crisis in South Korea highlights the delicate balance between national sovereignty and the responsibility to protect human rights and democratic values. The situation also underscores the interconnectedness of the global community, where events in one country can have far-reaching implications for regional and international stability. As South Korea grapples with this unprecedented crisis, the future remains uncertain. The world watches anxiously, hoping for a peaceful resolution that upholds democratic principles and protects the human rights of all South Korean citizens. However, the path ahead is fraught with challenges, and the stakes could not be higher.